Now Test Your Metal May is about to begin, and one of the maps that it features has fog in it. For those who don't know what Test Your Metal is, you can check out the link in the description and the website will explain what the event is. But I wanted to take the chance to explain how the mechanics of fog works in Wargroove. Now this would be with the mod on, so this is PC content exclusive. Hopefully it could come to Switch and other platforms, but first half of the video should still apply. Second half would be talking about the changes that the mod makes. So to start things off, clearly you can't see everything with fog. So every unit will now have a sight. You can see by looking at the codex or just right clicking on the unit. Now this is with the mod, so everything would have less sight. Normally it would be very different. Now another thing that fog changes is how the tiles of the map works. So these 4 tiles actually obscure vision, so they block off vision in certain ways. Forests are different too, because units can stand on it and other units cannot see the unit inside the forest unless they stand next to the forest. So what I mean by that is, clearly you can't see the units inside these 2 forests. So you have to step next to the forest to see what units are inside. And then another thing is reef. So it's basically forest, but on water. Mountains and the walls don't actually block vision or hide units like the forest, but they still do block vision. Now another thing is about villages. So right now, when you can't see the villages, you think that it's not captured. But in reality, they are actually, one of them is actually captured. So you could check by going next to the villages and see if they're capturable. If they're capturable, the menu will pop up saying capture. Because if you see, this one's actually captured by blue. So you can't even attack it, because if you look, when you don't see the village, you can't actually attack it, even if you know that one is captured. So you have to keep these things in mind. So you could check whether it's captured or not, but you have to see it first before you attack. So like this, you have to see it first before you can attack. Now, reefs, you don't have to be a water unit to be adjacent and still see what's inside. So for this example, it's spotted by a soldier and could still see what units are inside the sea tiles or the reef tiles. Okay, so we can move on to, let's move on to how air units sight works compared to a land unit sight. So land units, sea units, they act about the same, but air units don't actually get the path vision block. So what I mean by that is, if you can't see a tile, which is forest, you just can't see it. But in any other tile, you'll be able to see. The vision path is not obscured. But if you look at a land unit like the rifle here, so this is obscured by this forest tile, so you can't actually see it. Air unit, however, can just see past it because, well, they are in the air. So a land unit can't actually see past the vision obscuring tiles. You can see part of it like this because this corner is open, so you can see part of it, but rest of it will be blocked. So that's the difference between air sight and land sight. Another thing is mountains. Mountains actually give 2 additional sight for any land unit that is on it. So air units don't count, sea units don't count. Well, you can't get any sea units on mountains anyways. But anyways, it's only land units. Plus 2. Okay, so now we move on to commander grooves. So it changes a lot because if you see, the cast range is affected by what you could see. Now Wolfar can't actually groove anywhere here. because you can't see it, even though there's actually nothing here. So you can only groove what you could see. So Wolfar is not that great in Fog of War. Now Koji and other commanders that summon units also act the same way. So if you try to spawn in tiles here, even if you know there's nothing there, you can't actually do it because you technically don't see the tiles. So if you go into a tile like this, you can't actually cast a groove because there's only one space. Now, one strange case is the twins. Even though their groove can actually be cast on any tile, they won't actually allow you. So that's a strange thing, because it shouldn't be affected by sight. You just plot it down, can go anywhere, but it's still affected by sight. Okay, moving on, we have the summoned special units. So we have Emmerich's Thing, Emmerich's Crystal. It's 3 sight. Same with Koji's Bomb. Vines are different, they only have 1 sight. Now these are actually affected by the mountain sight bonus. See how this is only 3 range, now this is 5 range of sight. Vines also get affected, so before it's 1 range, so you could only see up to here, but now you can see here. If we check Koji's Bomb, they don't actually get affected. Let's move this guy out of the way, see a better picture. So you can actually see that the vision range is still the same, because these aren't technically land units, they're balloon units. Oh well. So that's about it for the basic fog mechanics. The path tracing algorithm is still kind of strange, but since the sight is reduced by a lot, shouldn't be able to affect your gameplay that much anymore. So one last thing I forgot to mention was that dogs and turtles have true sight. So what that means is you can actually see past all the vision obscuring tiles. So normally you can't see past these, but because there's a dog here, you don't have to be adjacent to forests, you can see past the mountains. So that's very important, because dog on a mountain can see a lot of tiles, and forest tiles don't hide anything, or reef tiles. So that's very important to remember. Same with turtles, they act in the same way, just in the sea. So you can see I actually plotted down all the units in the game and see what their sight is. So remember, there are different sight types, like air sight is different from land sight, which makes sense, but you can see the different unit types and how their sight has changed. So first off, all the buildings. So before, they had humongous range for their vision, but now they're all reduced to either 1 or 2 in the headquarters case. So this is very important because you can't actually see what's coming. Normally you could see like this big range, so you could see a knight coming with a village, but now you can't even see like 2 tiles away. So that's very important. Okay, next we could talk about the commander. Commander got reduced range. I think it was 4 before, but now it's 3. So it's actually above average for the mod. So which is good, because you don't want to just randomly die with your commander because you can't see anything. But other than commander, you could see that the average range for the vision is 2. Now archers got a huge nerf. It was 5 before, now it's only 2. Now you can see all the other ones are 2 range. Dogs on the other hand have 3 range, which makes sense, they are the scout unit. Okay, we can see the hideout units. Rifles got above average range, makes sense, they are snipers after all. And we got Thief, 2 range, makes sense as well. Now we have the air units. Air units have base 3 vision range, which makes sense. They are air units, they should be able to see more. Air riders are very important now because they have 5 range. I think it's the most, yeah, it's the most sight you could get out of a unit. So before, a lot of units had this, but now only the air riders have it. So they have a special role that they could play. 5 range. Now these are the summonable units. Before they were more, now they were less. Now this one you can ignore. You can't ever get this in a normal game. So 3, 3, 1. That's good to remember because these could act as scouting units, and they are pretty hard to remove. So that's a good thing for Koji. Crystals, pretty good too because Emmerich can plot it down and just leave it. Don't even have to care about it. The enemy would be scared. It's like, oh no, there's an army around that crystal. Now we get to the C units. So C units probably have the most variety. Okay, Merfolk got the least. Same with the warship. Makes sense. They are pretty powerful in the sea battle, and they are both important. Now what's important is the harpoon and the turtles got reduced range. Now before, harpoons can just shoot everything down because they could see everything, and they could have a giant range, 3 to 6 range. Now because of fog, it makes things more interesting because you have to see them first before you can attack them. One bad thing though is they are ranged, so you can't actually see where they are. So you're kind of like in the blind spot for most of the time. So that's one downside. So I still don't know if playing on sea maps with fog is actually that fun. But anyways, that's just the fog changes that the mod brings. It reduced down a lot of the sight that the base units had. So it'll be interesting to see how the game plays from that. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I guess I'll see you next time.